And taking a live look outside this morning, we're drying out after last night's rain, but the cold air is moving back in.
And good morning. Thanks for joining us here. I just realized I am so low in the seat compared to Gabby.
Too. I'm like looking at you, Natalie. What happened over there?
That out. Okay, Gabby, so excited to get to work with you.
Thank you. You too, Nat.
Thank you. And how much rain did we get last night? It was crazy.
I usually don't wake up from storms, and this storm woke me up last night. Mike, you said we got a lot of rain.
A record amount of rain for Chicago, 1.92 inches of rain. That is the third wettest calendar day ever in the month of January. So, yeah, plenty of rainfall. Didn't get everybody with that amount of rain, but coming up in a little bit, I'll show you the Doppler radar estimate. Out there right now, skies are cloudy and temperatures are on the way down. But I want to stress here, yeah, it's a big drop from where we were. 43 at O'Hare, 48 at Gary, it's 40 at DeKalb. Normally, this time of morning, this time of year, it would be 20 degrees. So behind a cold front, it is still way warmer than normal. Here's the main story right now, the winds, which are still really clipping along. We've got a 54-mile-an-hour wind at Gary. A little while ago, it was a 55 mph at O'Hare. That has dropped to 38. Not quite strong enough to warrant a wind advisory, and the wind should die back a little bit here in the next couple of hours. Small chance of a morning shower. I'll show you the radar in a little bit, but right now, we had rivers where roads once were last night. Gabby, how are we doing this morning?
No kidding, Mike. You know what? We're looking a lot better. Here's a look at Grant Park right now. Just remember, in some of your neighborhoods, just be careful of some high standing water because, yeah, we have a couple reports right now that I'm going to go through. But if you do see something, report it to your local municipalities and let them know so that we can get these reports in and let folks know. Let's start over on the west side. I already reported these. One is at 14th and Western over in like Douglas Park area. And then also Pulaski and Ogden Avenue. There's some flooding reported as well. Both of those have CTA bus reroutes because of it. And then a new report, Foster Avenue at the Kennedy Expressway. So that's new. We know that's kind of a low area. Just be careful. If you know a place in your usual morning commute kind of has that low spot, there might be some water. Just turn around if it is a little bit too high. I'll keep you updated on traffic. Your drive times are looking okay right now.
And Gabby gave you that warning. Check out this video. The heavy rain. First of all, this looks like an ocean to me.
Crazy.
It's so crazy. The heavy rain brought flooding issues for drivers. This is video from Cicero. This is Cicero Avenue and 31st. Cars were stuck in the high water, had to be pushed out or towed. And at Cicero Avenue and 55th, high winds knocked down a traffic light, landing on a car, cracking the windshield. Luckily, nobody was seriously injured. There was also a mess on the Dan Ryan. This is video on the southbound side at 31st Street. Water flooded the local lanes and cars had to slowly make their way through.
Wow, unbelievable. All right, back to a local story that we've been following all week. We're learning new details from the family of a missing Chicago Public Schools teacher.
So today, volunteers are being called to the lakefront to search for her. And Roseanne is live with the latest on where that search stands. Roseanne?
Well, the husband of 53-year-old Linda Brown has not seen her since Friday, but police told him that they found her missing car. And it was in this area reportedly of Lake Park Avenue and 35th Street. And so today they're going to focus a search in this area. Zones have been created on both sides of Lakeshore Drive near this pedestrian bridge and then Burnham Park. And the lakefront is a high priority. The special education teacher from Healy Elementary School in Bridgeport has been missing 6 days. Her husband said the two watched a movie Friday night. Saturday morning, she was gone, he thought, to her acupuncture appointment, but she never made it there and never came home. Her husband said while she has faced mental health challenges, she has never taken off before, and earlier this week, he pleaded for her to come home.
We watched the movie Friday night, and she went to bed before I did. I stayed up a little later. She was in the bed when I went to bed. When I woke up at 8:35, she was gone.
Did she take anything?
She didn't take anything. She took her purse, credit cards, but I'm thinking she was at acupuncture. If you watching this, please come home. Your family is missing you. I'm missing you. Your friends are missing you. Linda, we need you to come home, baby. Seriously, we need you to come home.
Again, back live this morning, volunteers are being asked to come to the lakefront in this area. We are at 35th and Lake Park Avenue. The search will be on both sides of Lakeshore Drive. A couple of tips for the public who want to participate in this search. They are asked to stay on public property, to be very careful, and to take pictures or videos of anything that looks out of place. That alone will help investigators. Anything that seems out of the ordinary. Again, that search starting this morning in this area. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Roseanne, thank you. Hopefully they find some answers this morning. A federal judge in Chicago issues a ruling that body camera videos and use of force reports from ICE agents during Operation Midway Blitz can be released to the public. However, those videos and documents are not available just yet. Both need to have portions redacted for privacy concerns before they can be made available to the public. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino and federal agents are accused of using tear gas and violence during the operation. Judge Ellis has given the government 4 months to produce the estimated 500 body cam tapes and numerous use of force reports.
A hearing was held in Pilsen focusing on how CPD interacts with federal immigration agencies.
Brian is in studio with the latest. Hi, Brian.
Well, last night's hearing gave residents and local officials a chance to voice some concerns that CPD may be assisting ICE agents. The hearing was prompted by more than 2,000 signatures and calls from district counselors demanding transparency and accountability. Under Illinois law and the Welcoming City Ordinance, Chicago police are prohibited from assisting federal agents with immigration enforcement. Residents got the chance to speak directly to members of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability.
I came here today because I thought that I was going to tell you about my experiences behind the discount mall on October 23rd and how I personally witnessed ICE and CPD collaborate. But I'm going to throw that away because some of you commissioners should be ashamed of yourselves.
They also want another meeting with CPD Superintendent Larry Snelling. With him present in the room, they also want to see Mayor Brandon Johnson in that meeting as well. Right now, there's no word if there will be another meeting.
All right, thank you, Brian. Tensions keep growing in Minneapolis and around the country after an ICE agent shot and killed a 37-year-old mother of 3 this week.
Federal authorities and the Trump administration say that agent followed his training, adding his actions protected himself and others. But a number of local leaders are arguing against those claims. Connor Hansen live in Minneapolis with the latest for us this morning. Hi, Connor.
Hi, Natalie and Gabriella. We're here on that very block where that fatal shooting took place. There were protests here up until last night, but earlier this morning we watched a Minneapolis police SWAT team come in here and completely clear out the makeshift barricades that protesters had built right here in Portland Avenue. It's a main road heading right into the city. Police had the whole area blocked off for a while, and so far no signs of more protesters showing up this morning.
That woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation.
As the FBI continues its investigation, Vice President J.D. Vance says 37-year-old Renee Good's death is a tragedy of her own making, echoing the Department of Homeland Security, saying the ICE agent who shot and killed her Wednesday in Minneapolis did so out of self-defense. This comes after federal officials accuse Good of trying to slam her car into the officer.
That very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg.
But some local leaders in Minnesota say they don't fully buy the federal reports and are urging the thousands of ICE officers in the state to leave.
I will let those that want to push out false narratives, to slander or defame Renee Good, Minnesotans will tell her life story.
Vigils and calls for action are picking up steam nationwide.
Say her name! Renee Good!
Just one day after the incident in Minneapolis, the FBI was investigating another shooting Thursday in Portland, Oregon, where 2 people were injured. DHS says a Border Patrol agent also fired in self-defense after an alleged gang member tried to run them over before fleeing the scene.
And back here in Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz is calling for a day of unity today, and later this morning is asking people to participate in a moment of silence. Back to you.
All right, Connor, thank you so much.
The ICE agent who investigators say shot and killed Renee Good was involved in another incident just months ago. He has been identified as Jonathan Ross. He's the same officer who was dragged 50 yards in Bloomington, Minnesota, if you remember, back in June of last year. According to court documents, Ross was part of a team that was trying to apprehend a man in the United States illegally. He broke a window and reached into the vehicle trying to open the door when the driver sped off. Ross was then dragged by the vehicle and hospitalized.
Illinois officials are sounding off about the shooting in Minnesota. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood from Peoria is a former state and federal prosecutor, and he is breaking from the Trump administration on his view of the shooting.
Let's wait and see on what the evidence is here, the facts that come out. Remember, in police shootings, there is a thorough investigation that goes on that's different from other crimes that are committed, and it should be that way. So I will wait and reserve judgment and see what the results of that are.
Governor Pritzker says Chicagoans have seen this movie far too many times. He says federal agents have been ill-equipped, he believes, to perform these ramped-up deportations while maintaining public safety.
There are policies and procedures that normally law enforcement follow, and that ICE, and we've seen it, we know before Minnesota, because we've lived it, that they don't follow. And they're clearly not trained. They're hiring a whole bunch of new people. They don't seem to care a whit about whether these people are prepared for a job like this, are psychologically prepared, or get the kind of training that's necessary.
All right, 6:11 now. Let's talk some football, shall we? The Bears and Packers will meet in the playoffs tomorrow night for just the third time.
It's also their third meeting in just over 30 days. So they've seen a lot of each other lately. Several Packers players have made it known that they wanted to play the Bears in the playoffs. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson said they have a chance to end the Bears season, and that means a whole lot to the Packers. Bears wide receiver DJ Moore, though, had this to say.
Always tripping. It's always like some talking going on somewhere, somehow, during the game, before the game, always. And, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the rivalry, it speaks for itself.
You can watch the Packers and Bears game on Saturday at 7 p.m. right here on Fox Chicago. Our coverage begins with Bears Game Day Live at 12:30. You can stay with us on Fox Chicago because after the game, we've got some full post-game coverage on your home of the Bears.
And check this out. Last night, odd situation at the United Center here. The Bulls and Heat were set to play last night, but the game was delayed. It was postponed due to condensation on the floor, and they were working hard to get that cleaned up out there with mops and towels. Eventually, the game was postponed. The weather outside led to humid and wet conditions inside the building. I feel like that, it's a nod to all of the homeowners last night who were in their basements, like checking their sump pumps, making sure everything was working.
And that's because of rain, not because of how warm and humid it was. Here's my thought. They put that floor on top of the ice there at the United Center, and I think that had more to do with it than the fact that it was raining outside, and it just couldn't control the temperature of the slats of wood that were down there. So, but they'll reschedule that game, and the Bulls can beat the Heat some other time.
There you go. And apparently the tickets are still good as well. If you had tickets to this game, whatever the postponement date is, yes.
All right, it poured in parts of the area yesterday. Some folks picked up 2 to 3 inches of rainfall in a short period of time. And what's kind of interesting, it mirrors what happened several times this past summer when the city had some of the heaviest rain in the area. And it's almost like there's a funnel that just sends the heaviest rain every time in that direction. Now, today, getting the kids ready for school, medium weight jacket, and make it waterproof and windproof because it is going to be windy all day long. But these temperatures are not that cold. Yes, we're behind a cold front. It's not in the 50s and 60 anymore, but it is still well above normal. The ride home, blustery, but plenty of sunshine out there at that time. It's 45 at Joliet, 41 at Woodstock. Cold front now has cleared the area. It's 50 at Valparaiso, though still in Benton Harbor, where about an hour ago it was 60. It's dropped to 53 currently. The winds still quite strong, but beginning to die back, almost due west now. Gary with the strongest wind with a 54-mile-an-hour gust. A 40 mph at Midway. My friend Amy Sarver, the Highways Department Commissioner for Warren Township, she's on her way to Las Vegas, was asking me how windy it was going to be. I said, that's going to be a white-knuckle takeoff there at O'Hare. Have a safe flight out there. But she gives us a lot of helpful information during the winter season about road temperatures and all. Chance of a light sprinkle here later this morning. Nothing like the heavy rain we had last night. Tomorrow, though, it's not rain. It's a different type of precipitation that's coming.
All right, thanks, Mike. Several Republican lawmakers actually going against their party leaders when it comes to extending Affordable Care Act subsidies. We'll explain next.
They're on break.
.616 now, we're learning more about another shooting involving federal agents, this one in Portland, Oregon.
Federal immigration officers shot 2 people in a vehicle. The Department of Homeland Security says an officer opened fire when an undocumented Venezuelan migrant tried to run him over. Portland's mayor is calling for an investigation.
Record rainfall in the Chicago area leads to some flooding issues on the roads. Look at that. Drivers are left having to push their cars out of high water or get a tow. High winds also left behind damage for some areas.
We're just a day away from playoff football at Soldier Field. The Bears host the Packers tomorrow night. It will be their 3rd meeting in just over 30 days. Kickoff is scheduled for 7:10. You can catch the game right here on Fox Chicago, your home of the Bears.
In a major vote, the U.S. House passes a bill to extend the Affordable Care Act healthcare subsidies. This is the issue that was at the heart of last fall's 6-week government shutdown. Some Republicans joined Democrats to vote the measure through. The bill extends subsidies for Americans getting coverage through the Affordable Care Act. It could help lower premiums that spiked dramatically on January 1st for around 22 million Americans.
Cancel the cuts, lower the cost, save healthcare. That's our objective.
Obamacare has been a disaster, and I think doubling down on the things that haven't worked isn't the answer.
The legislation now heads to the Senate. And also on Capitol Hill, the Senate is advancing a resolution that would limit President Trump's ability to carry out further attacks against Venezuela. Democrats and 5 Republicans held a test vote to advance the War Powers Resolution, ensuring a future vote for final passage. Now, even if it does pass, it would still need President Trump's signature to become law.
Illinois Congresswoman Robin Kelly is placing the blame for the deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis squarely at the feet of Homeland Security Kristi Noem. Kelly is authoring articles of impeachment against Noem, calling her incompetent and a liar. She accuses Noem of sending immigration agents to Minneapolis and other Democratic cities like Chicago without the proper training.
They are absolutely not making cities safer. They're causing, problems in the city. They're making cities more unsafe. People have lost their lives. People have been injured, having to go to the hospital. That's, absolutely ridiculous. She said they're going after murderers and rapists, and really, how many murderers and rapists have they kept?
Kelly is running to succeed Senator Dick Durbin and says she's working on getting co-sponsors and that the articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem will be filed as early as today.
U.S. Supreme Court announcing it will begin issuing rulings for the new year starting today. The tariffs could be at the top of the agenda here. The justices could reveal their ruling on whether the president has the authority to impose tariffs under an emergency law that was passed nearly 50 years ago. Legal and trade analysts say if the court rules that he does not have that power, the U.S. may be forced to refund more than $133.5 billion in tariffs to importers.
6:20 now. Okay, who's flipping the switch from winter to spring to summer and back to winter again tomorrow?
It's going in all directions, Mike.
I'm going to blame Mark Strell for flipping that switch.
There you go.
Just because he's not here to defend himself.
He seems like the easy target.
Last night was something else with regards to the rainfall. It just came down so heavily in a short period of time. We had flash flood warnings going on. Take a look at this map I've queued up here. This is the Doppler radar estimate of rainfall, and it usually does a really good job of nailing how much rain came down. Look at that, and obviously something happened here coming out of northern Livingston County right across the city. Where you see that yellow shade, that's 2 inches of rainfall or more. So let's zoom in maybe the Chicago to Joliet area and highlight a few local spots here and look at some of these numbers that came in. 2.5, some cases close to 3 inches of rain, kind of like an I-55 special in some regards there. And that came down in such a short period of time. We had flooding. Fortunately, the waters are receding slowly now, but the main story this morning is with these winds. Yes, there's a small chance of a brief shower here later this morning, but it's very blustery. We've got a 54-mile-an-hour wind gust at Gary. We've died down a little bit. O'Hare had a 55-mile-an-hour wind gust just an hour ago. Now it's only 38, but temperature-wise, we are going to see kind of a steadying off of where we are now. Our high tied the record for this date, an 1880 record, one of the oldest ones on the books. We hit 60 degrees, so that is the high, but now we have falling temperatures into the 40s, and that's where we'll be for the rest of the afternoon. A brief morning shower. I think we'll see some afternoon sunshine. All right, Gabriella, with that heavy rain that came down last night, we saw the road conditions were terrible. How are we doing this morning?
We did, and luckily, Mike, we saw a lot of that water recede fairly quickly, so we're not really seeing any reports of high standing water on our expressways, which is good, but please be aware of things that might be happening around your neighborhood, especially as people are waking up. Maybe officials haven't blocked off that piece of the road yet, so it's up to you to kind of report that to your local officials as well. Let's talk about just the one thing that's going on our expressways right now. It's just a disabled vehicle. A right lane is blocked on the inbound side of the Dan Ryan at 18th Street, and I do want to give you guys a look at your drive time. So that's what that crash icon was from, was that disabled vehicle. 25 minutes right now on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. Same on the Eisenhower. We're calling it also the same on the Stevenson from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and just above 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange.
Lowering the cost of drug prices, the deal that one major pharmaceutical company has reached with the Trump administration.
Who's that?
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago. Hey, we all survived that rain last night. That was crazy. And this morning, we're still dealing with some really strong winds. Mike will be with us to give us some more details on the forecast. In the meantime, there's a recall this morning for car seats from a popular baby gear brand. Evenflo issued a recall for nearly 75,000 of its all-for-one 4-in-1 convertible car seat. The affected products were manufactured between January 2022 and June of 2024. A National Highway Traffic Safety Administration report says there are concerns that the car seat may shift positions when it is rear-facing. Evenflo says there have been no reports of injuries. The company says you don't have to return the seats. The seats are, quote, safe to continue using in the meantime. But keep this in mind, if it's rear-facing, make sure that no one puts their fingers in the recline mechanism. That could be dangerous. Letters will be mailed to affected owners toward the end of the month, offering a free replacement.
Johnson & Johnson says it has agreed to a deal with the Trump administration to lower drug prices and increase access to common prescriptions. The deal will also exempt the company drugs from tariffs. The lower costs will be applied to drugs offered in the Medicaid program, as well as a new direct-to-patient platform dubbed Trump RX.
And if you like to get your taxes filed early, God bless you. The 2026 tax filing season officially begins on January 26th, when the IRS starts accepting 2025 returns. The deadline to file and avoid penalties is April 15th. Experts warn staffing cuts at the IRS could slow processing this year, but agency leaders say systems are ready. The IRS expects about 164 million returns, with refunds possibly larger under new tax laws.
You know, we were talking about how excited we were for this. NASA has canceled its first spacewalk of the year as a medical emergency forces an early end to a mission at the International Space Station. Officials say a member of the Crew 11 mission is in stable condition, but will be brought back to Earth nearly a month ahead of schedule. NASA has not identified the astronaut or disclosed the specific medical issue, but confirmed the station itself is not at fault.
It's one of those things that you don't consider. What if somebody gets really sick of it?
No kidding.
Oh, boy. All right, here we had way too much rain in parts of the area last night. Now it's too windy, but temperatures, despite the fact they're getting colder, are not going to be cold by January 9th standards today. Tomorrow, different story. Some snow's on the way, and I'll let you know how much when we come back.
Want some of that caffeine in my veins.
It's Ashley's New Year's sale.
6:30 on your Friday morning. Welcome back to Good Day Chicago at 6. I'm Gabriela Primus in for Anthony Ponce.
I'm Natalie Bumke, and here are some of the top stories we're following for you this morning. Protests erupt in Minneapolis after the deadly shooting by a federal agent of a woman, while another shooting has Portland on edge.
The family of a missing Chicago public schools teacher is releasing new details about her disappearance.
And it's playoff eve for the Bears as they put in their final preparations ahead of tomorrow's big game.
6:31. Hey, Mike Kaplan, you can give us some answers. We saw so much rain last night. Do we have a number of how much rain we got?
192 at O'Hare, which broke a record for daily rainfall on January 8th, and it's the third wettest calendar day ever on record in Chicago. So that was plenty, and that wasn't even the heaviest rain in the area. Some of you saw almost 3 inches of rain very close to I-55. I had to pick. I often like to refer to highways when we're talking about events. Kind of close to I-55 was that axis of heaviest rainfall. Now, in terms of rain today, there can be a brief shower. You see a couple of sprinkles showing up here on radar towards Freeport. This is all west of Rockford. This is not a big deal. It's not going to make the flooding matters any worse. However, we still have, over parts of the area, this is a flood advisory from the leftover rain last night. This includes the city of Chicago, goes all the way west towards Naperville, Lockport, as far north as roughly Glencoe. This will expire at 8:30, but there's still some high standing water in a few spots. But Gabby, you've been saying so far not too many traffic problems as a result of that.
You know, Mike, really, yeah, luckily we haven't. And we saw that shocking video from the Dan Ryan earlier this morning that Roseanne shared with us, and we'll show you that here a little bit later in the show as well. All that water is receded on most of our expressways. Off the expressways, it might be a different story. So let me give you a couple reports here. Luckily, we have no incidents in our system. Yeah, just this report of high standing water in a couple places. The two new ones, 47th Street at Morgan. So this is on the south side, and it is rerouting a CTA bus number 44. So keep in mind, even if you are taking the bus anywhere this morning, whether it's on the south side or not, that you might have some reroutes for your bus commute this morning. All right, also Foster Avenue at the Kennedy Expressway, so way over on the northwest side, opposite end of my last report. There's also some reports of flooding as well. Some cars maybe stuck in the water in a few places. Again, not as much maybe as we'd guess with how much rain we got, but still something to note if you are heading out early this morning. Nat.
Okay, the White House defending DHS after Wednesday's deadly shooting by an ICE agent in Minneapolis. And while officials at the state level are demanding more transparency as the investigation gets underway, this all happening at the same time. The ex-husband of the woman who was killed, Renee Nicole Good, says she had just dropped her child off at school and had no history of political activism. However, her current partner was heard saying that she had convinced her to attend the ICE protest. Trump administration officials continue to argue self-defense on the ICE agent's behalf, while leaders and witnesses in Minnesota tell a different story.
The president, to the vice president, to Kristi Noem, have stood and told you things that are verifiably false, verifiably inaccurate. They have determined the character of a 37-year-old mom that they didn't even know.
She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making.
Governor Tim Walz has ordered the Minnesota National Guard to be staged and ready in case they need to help state and local police as protests grow there.
The ICE agent who investigators say shot and killed Renee Good was involved in another incident just months ago. He's been identified as Jonathan Ross. He's the same officer who was dragged 50 yards in Bloomington, Minnesota back in June of last year. According to court documents, Ross was part of a team that was trying to apprehend a man in the United States who was here legally. He broke a window and reached into the vehicle, trying to open the door when the driver sped off. Ross was then dragged by the vehicle and hospitalized.
Illinois officials are sounding off about that shooting. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood from Peoria is a former state and federal prosecutor, and he is breaking from the Trump administration on his view of the shooting.
Let's wait and see on what the evidence is here, the facts that come out. Remember, in police shootings, there is a thorough investigation that goes on that's different from other crimes that are committed, and it should be that way. So I will wait and reserve judgment and see what the results of that are.
Governor Pritzker, meantime, says Chicagoans have seen this movie far too many times. He says federal agents have been ill-equipped, he believes, to perform these ramped-up deportations while maintaining public safety.
There are policies and procedures that normally law enforcement follow, and that ICE, and we've seen it, we know before Minnesota, because we've lived it, that they don't follow. And they're clearly not trained. They're hiring a whole bunch of new people. They don't seem to care a whit about whether these people are prepared for a job like this, are psychologically prepared, or get the kind of training that's necessary.
Now, there was another recent shooting involving federal agents, this one in Portland, Oregon.
And Brian is in studio with the latest on that. Brian?
Well, police confirmed that a man and woman were shot and injured by federal agents. The Department of Homeland Security says that they were conducting a targeted traffic stop and that the driver was believed to be a member of a Venezuelan gang. They say that the driver tried to run over the agents. The mayor of Portland spoke at a news conference last night.
Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents. When the administration talks about using full force, we are seeing what it means on our streets.
Portland police found the two about 10 minutes after the shooting and took them to the hospital. Gabriella?
Thank you, Brian. A federal judge in Chicago issues a ruling that body camera videos and use of force reports from ICE agents during Operation Midway Blitz can be released to the public. However, those videos and documents are not available just yet. Both need to have portions redacted for privacy concerns before they can be made available. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino and federal agents are accused of using tear gas and violence during the operation. Judge Ellis has given the government 4 months to produce the estimated 500 body cam tapes and numerous use of force reports.
We're learning new details from the family of a missing Chicago Public Schools teacher.
Today, volunteers are being called to the lakefront to search. Roseanne is live with the latest. Good morning, Roseanne.
Good morning. Well, police told her family that they found her car here at 35th Street and Lake Park Avenue, along with the biggest clue yet. And that clue is a video, and it shows Linda parking her car in this area, getting out and walking away. There's no footage of her ever returning to her car. So today's search will focus on this area. Zones have been created on both sides of Lakeshore Drive, near this pedestrian bridge, near Burnham Park, and also the lakefront is a high priority. The special education teacher from Healy Elementary School in Bridgeport has been missing 6 days. Her husband said the two watched a movie Friday night. Saturday morning, she was gone, but he thought she had just gone to her acupuncture appointment, but she never made it there, nor did she ever come home. Her husband said while she has faced mental health challenges in the past, she's never just taken off like this. Earlier in the week, we talked to parents at Healy Elementary. They told us they, too, were worried sick.
It's sad. I hope they find her soon. I did see the news, and I feel bad for the family and the husband. I just can't imagine what he's going through. So I hope they find her soon and she comes back, because I think it's taking a toll on the kids, too. She was a wonderful teacher.
So once again, volunteers are going to be out here starting at 8 o'clock this morning. We're at 35th and Lake Park Avenue, but there are 4 zones on either side of Lakeshore Drive, the lakefront, also some of the grassy areas, as I mentioned, in Burnham Park. So a couple of tips for anybody who wants to come help. They want to make sure everybody stays on public property and be sure to take pictures and videos of anything that looks out of place or like it may have been disturbed. Along the lakefront, Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
All right, Roseanne, thank you so much for that report. We'll catch up with you in the 6 o'clock hour. Now, we told you about this. The heavy rain brought flooding issues for drivers. This is video from Cicero at Cicero Avenue and 31st, and Mike is up in arms. We know that you're not supposed to drive through this, people. If you see high standing water like this, turn around, because you're going to end up like this guy. Cars were stuck in the high water and had to be pushed out or towed. And at Cicero Avenue and 55th, high winds knocked down a traffic light, landing on a car and cracking the windshield. Nobody, luckily, was seriously hurt. And there was also a mess on the Dan Ryan Expressway. This is video on the southbound side at 31st. Water flooded the local lanes and cars had to slowly drive through. It honestly looks kind of like a tsunami came through, you guys. That's a lot of water.
So much, and an odd situation at the United Center here. The Bulls and Heat were set to play last night, but the game was delayed because of condensation on the floor. Crews, they were out there with mops and towels doing their best. Eventually, the game was postponed. The weather outside, allegedly, Mike has a different theory, led to humid and wet conditions inside the building.
It does make a little sense, Mike. Yeah, because that ice is underneath there, and then you have the floor going over. I don't know. The Bears and Packers will meet in the playoffs tomorrow night for just the third time.
It's also their third meeting in just in the last 30 days. Several Packers players have made it known that they wanted to play the Bears in the playoffs. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson said they have a chance to end the Bears season. That means a whole lot to them. Bears wide receiver DJ Moore, though, had this to say.
Always chirping. It's always like some talking going on somewhere, somehow, during the game, before the game, always. And, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the rivalry, it speaks for itself.
You can watch the Packers and Bears game on Saturday at 7 p.m. right here on Fox Chicago. Our coverage begins with Bears Game Day Live at 12:30. And then stay with us on Fox Chicago because after the game, we've got full post-game coverage on your home of the Bears.
6:41 now, and has the rain tapered off? I've heard the wind, though. The wind is still pretty strong out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a chance of a little light rain coming through in the next couple of hours. Regarding the United Center, it was definitely unusually warm and unusually humid outside, but they have climate control inside the stadium. I'm quite sure that the seats were not covered in condensation. The floor was because it's sitting on top of a cold surface. You drop that temperature down and that humidity is going to condense out into the droplets that they couldn't control on the floor. So that's what I think happened. The other thing I want to address, the driving through the high standing water, and I'm going to throw my son under the bus on this.
I knew this was coming.
He's in San Diego now, so he's not watching.
Right.
But he killed his car driving in with the July flooding that we had in the city. So turn around, don't drown. You saw a lot of people pushing their cars. They were gone. So
I will say it's a tricky situation with the Dan Ryan, though, because you're on the expressway. It's not like you can turn around there.
Yeah, where are you going to go?
So there, just be extra careful. Maybe try to get everyone over on the shoulder.
And we'll give people, a pass because the water came up so quickly yesterday.
True.
The rain was heavy and it came down in just a short period of time, and that's what leads to flash flooding. That is not going to be the case this morning. We have just a little bit of light rain that'll cruise through here in the next couple of hours, mainly north of the city, probably trace amounts at most. And in fact, this afternoon, I think skies are going to clear out quite nicely here, and with temperatures in the 40s with sunshine in January, ordinarily it'd be like throwing a party. It's just not as warm as it was yesterday. And also those winds mean business, and that will make it a little bit less pleasant to be outside. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy, and then clouding over toward daybreak tomorrow. And what's that? That is some snow that will fall during the day tomorrow, maybe mixing with a little bit of rain at times. But by the time the Bears are playing, here's kickoff time, nothing going on. I mean, there could be a flurry here or there, but I don't want you thinking that it's going to be a snow bowl tomorrow night at Soldier Field. It will be chilly, it'll be breezy, but it is not going to be a big pile of snow, or it's not going to be snowing very heavily coming down. Today, we've had our high. It was 60, tied to the record. A brief morning shower, that's it. Some sunshine on the way later on. Natalie?
Thank you, Mike. Plenty more to come here on Good Day Chicago. It's a big day in federal court for Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing the CEO of United Healthcare. Why NASA is being forced to end a mission early at the International Space Station. And Bears fans turn out for an opportunity to see who looks most like head coach Ben Johnson. We've got the results. Gabby?
Speaking of the Bears, Natalie, you and I are wearing our orange because it's Orange Friday here on Good Day Chicago. Here's some of the photos you sent us in your Bears gear. We have some good-looking viewers. Thanks, guys.
Fox 32 News is brought to you.
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago Live. Look at the Dan Ryan. Boy, jammed up as ever on the inbound side, but at least we don't have to deal with that high standing water like many areas did last night. In a major vote, the U.S. House passes a bill to extend the Affordable Care Act healthcare subsidies. This is the issue that was at the heart of last fall's 6-week government shutdown. Some Republicans joined Democrats to vote the measure through. The bill extends subsidies for Americans getting coverage through the Affordable Care Act. Now, it could help lower premiums that spiked dramatically on January 1st for around 22 million Americans.
Lower the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. That's our objective.
Obamacare has been a disaster, and I think doubling down on the things that haven't worked isn't the answer.
The legislation now heads to the Senate. U.S. Supreme Court announced it will begin issuing rulings for the new year starting today, and tariffs could be at the top of the agenda. The justices could reveal their ruling on whether the president has the authority to impose tariffs under an emergency law that was passed nearly 50 years ago. Legal and trade analysts say if the court rules that he does not have that power, the U.S. may be forced to refund more than $133.5 billion in tariffs to importers.
Anti-government protests are spreading in Iran. Human rights organizations say demonstrations are happening in more than 100 cities. More than 2,000 protesters have been arrested and dozens have been killed. Internet service was cut off last night as leadership tried to put an end to the growing protests.
A New York judge has set a tentative March 3rd retrial date for Harvey Weinstein on third-degree rape charges involving Jessica Mann. In court yesterday, Weinstein's defense said he would consider pleading guilty, but Weinstein personally told the court he has never attacked anyone. A judge also denied Weinstein's bid to overturn his lone conviction at his previous trial.
The man accused of killing former United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is expected in federal court today. It's a pivotal hearing for Luigi Mangione, who's trying to avoid the death penalty. His lawyers will argue authorities prejudiced his case by turning his arrest into a spectacle. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to federal and state murder charges.
It is now 6:49, and luckily the rain has tapered off. I couldn't believe how much we got in the southwest suburbs, but I know, Mike, you didn't get nearly as much as we did.
About a quarter inch up in northern Lake County, but there was an axis roughly, a few miles either side of I-55 that really had some of the heaviest rainfall, went right through the city, and that's why we've been showing you these videos of highways that look like rivers, but the water is receding, thank goodness. Now, I can't rule out a brief, very light rain shower here later this morning. We'll look at the radar in a little bit, but the main story today, these gusty winds and the temperature drop that's taking place. We got a 54-mile-an-hour gust reported this hour at Gary's Airport, and a few spots are 40-plus, including Valparaiso, O'Hare, Midway, and also Kankakee. But these really intense wind gusts should be dying back slightly. It's not like we're going to shut off the wind machine, but we're going to ratchet down the velocity a little bit. Low pressure pulling away. Last little piece of rain will sneak through here in a couple of hours, and we're done. In fact, I think we'll see a good amount of sunshine this afternoon, but that will be fleeting as the next storm system is already bearing down on us, and it will be here tomorrow when cold enough air will be in place that most of what is falling is snow. Now, the ground has been very, very warm, and air temperatures are not going to be that cold. So even though there's snow falling, it is going to have a difficult time really sticking. I could see a coating here or there, but this snow should be out of here in time for the Bears game. And if you've been led to believe that it's going to be a snow bowl and the giant flakes coming down and they're shoveling that, no, that is not what's going to happen tomorrow night at Soldier Field. It will be blustery and colder. I think game time temperatures will be in the 20s. And on Sunday, a cold day, but with clearing skies. Here's the extended temperature weather outlook, though. And like I told you earlier this week, if you've given up on winter, don't do it, because it does look like an intrusion of colder air relative to normal could be expected here as we head into the third and late fourth weeks of January. Gabriella, what do we have on the roads?
You know, Mike, we're warning people, obviously, to be careful here in Chicagoland because of some of that high standing water that you might see off the expressways. We really have no reports on the expressways from the rain that we saw overnight. But also be careful with those high profile vehicles. I want to give us a look at the Rosemont camera. This is those ramps that'll take you from the Tri-State Tollway, the Jane Addams, and that long 190 ramp to O'Hare. I want to give you some updates just on like maybe some delays that are going on at the airports at Chicago. There's been O'Hare, excuse me. There's been 45 delays within the last 24 hours. People were asking me, since we saw so much rain, now we see these high winds, you know, is there anything that we should be concerned about? Only one cancellation within the last 24 hours. No cancellations at Midway, and 4 delays at Midway Airport in the last 24 hours. Your drive times are looking okay. We're around 35 minutes on the Kennedy, Eisenhower, and Stevenson, just over 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan.
We're learning more about another shooting involving federal agents, this one in Portland, Oregon.
Federal immigration officers shot 2 people in a vehicle. The Department of Homeland Security says an officer opened fire when an undocumented Venezuelan migrant tried to run him over. Portland's mayor is calling for an investigation.
And record rainfall in the Chicago area leads to some flooding issues on the road, some big issues. Drivers were left having to push their cars out of high water or get a tow. High winds also left behind damage for some areas.
We're just a day away from playoff football at Soldier Field. One more sleep. The Bears host the Packers tomorrow night. It will be their 3rd meeting in just over 30 days. Kickoff is scheduled for 7:10. You could catch the game right here on Fox Chicago, your home of the Bears. Johnson & Johnson says it has agreed to a deal with the Trump administration to lower drug prices and increase access to common prescriptions. The deal will also exempt the company's drugs from tariffs. The lower cost will be applied to drugs offered in the Medicaid program, as well as a new direct-to-patient platform dubbed Trump RX.
Well, if you'd like to get your taxes filed early, the 2026 tax filing season officially begins on January 26th. That is when the IRS starts accepting 2025 returns. The deadline to file and avoid penalties is April 15th. Experts warn staffing cuts at the IRS could slow processing this year, but agency leaders say systems are ready. The IRS expects about 164 million returns, with refunds possibly larger under new tax laws.
NASA has canceled its first spacewalk of the year as a medical emergency forces an early end to a mission at the International Space Station. Officials say a member of the Crew 11 mission is in stable condition, but will be brought back to Earth nearly a month ahead of schedule. Now, NASA has not identified the astronaut or disclosed the specific medical issue, but confirmed the station itself is not at fault.
Fire crews in Anaheim save stuck monorail passengers at Disneyland. About 60 passengers were stuck on the monorail after it lost power last night. No other disruptions were reported at the park. Disneyland says the monorail spans about 2.5 miles across the park and usually runs every 10 minutes.
The Miami Hurricanes are heading to the national championship. It was a wild finish in last night's semifinal against Ole Miss. Ole Miss took a 3-point lead late in the 4th quarter after a touchdown and 2-point conversion. But with less than 20 seconds left, Miami quarterback Carson Beck takes it 3 yards for the game-winning touchdown. Miami awaits the winner of Indiana and Oregon, which will be played tonight.
Pop left that way. There's Kane. Oh boy. For 500. He scores! Patrick Kane, showtime. 500.
Yeah, a special moment for former Blackhawks star Patrick Kane. He scored his 500th career goal last night. He becomes just the 5th American player to hit that milestone.
It should have happened in Chicago, Natalie. All right, some fun for Bears fans in Bedford Park ahead of Saturday's big game. They participated in a Ben Johnson lookalike contest. Now, plenty of fans showed up, young and old. Most had the signature Bears hat and hoodie on and headset. And yes, of course, some even had to take off their shirt.
We want to do something really community-oriented, fun, family-friendly, and see who can get the most creative with their Coach Johnson lookalike for the good, better, and best prizes.
I think we need a closer look at those abs, Natalie. Maybe put them side by side. All right, the winner of the contest took home a $1,000 gift card. Plus, I heard that there's going to be some prizes throughout the year as well. Second and third place also got some cash and prizes.
I know. What a great idea. And they were saying that it's so expensive to attend a Bears game, which it really is. And so this was an opportunity for kind of everybody to get in on the fun. And I think the first place participant got tickets to the game.
Oh, awesome.
So that's amazing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Plenty more Good Day Chicago ahead. Keep it right here.
Good morning, Chicago. Or should I say, good day, Chicago. Yeah, cause you tuned in to Good Day Chicago, and we about to have a good day, Chicago.
An epic showdown at Soldier Field. The